I thought it was wrong.
Yeah.
It was sad that they did to it.
The rec center vandalism hit Kadarius and Chris hard. You see, they're West Side Hornets.
It was sad, and they hold it off our practice a lot, and we couldn't get to practice basketball or football practice.
These folks were hurting and no place to go, no place to play. Over the last several months, there's been a lot of tragedy in this neighborhood. You know, there's been some shootings, and then the latest thing was the vandalism of their home.
But Thursday night, members of the YMCA and Calvary Baptist got together to help raise the spirits in College Hill courts.
It's amazing the difference in the kids' attitudes when you show up. They were devastated. This has been an unbelievable program, and it really takes a lot of kids out of that safety zone.
This was an old-fashioned block party. And were these kids having fun?
I'm having a good time where this is a party.
There was plenty of food.
My favorite part is when I was eating.
Oh, yeah. What did you have?
We had hot dogs.
Oh, that sounds good.
We had chips.
And face painting. Jeffrey is a tiger.
That's what I'm talking about.
And fellowship. And it was appreciated.
I would say thank you.
Yeah.
The lesson? More events like this and more interest from every community could really make a difference.
We'd like to see more like activities going on for the young kids and keep all the young kids out of trouble out here and keep their hands-on education.
We could do this in every community if we could just get enough volunteer help. We could have an impact everywhere.
We're gonna die. I kept telling her we were gonna die.
This is what's left. The moment a tornado struck Trenton, Georgia, those were the thoughts going through Sky Bolton's head. She, her sister Stormy, and their mother were inside S&L Tans on Main Street. The three had ridden out a Twister in Rising Fawn back in '92. Mom had a plan.
We was watching it through the window and we started seeing and stuff flying around, and we had already made plans that if something happened that we were going to get in the tanning bed.
That's just what they did, the three of them, in one bed with the lid down and all this going on around them. 30 seconds later, it was over and blue sky returned.
Well, we just laid there for just a few minutes because I kept telling them just to be quiet, it's not over, and it just kept, the wind kept blowing, and then finally it calmed down and we got out and climbed out the back of the building.
They could do that because the back wall was gone. But as search and rescue continues here in Trenton, they escape with their lives and a positive outlook.
We keep thinking, we just keep thinking, praising God. The whole time we were in there, we were just praising God. Just hold us and keep us tight. And we're alive. And there's a lot of people that's lost their home here. We can rebuild if we want to or relocate, but there's a lot of people that's lost their homes and lives. So we're okay with it.
David, after last summer's gang shootings in Chattanooga's inner city, Mayor Ron Littlefield created a task force which is still working on ways to stop violence before it begins. They met last night with police and they got a taste of what it's like to wear a badge, carry a gun, and decide whether or not to pull the trigger.
What scared me, I've never had anybody point a gun at me.
That all changed with this class. The Reverend was one of many inner-city community leaders who learned firsthand what it's like to be a police officer and to have to make a life-or-death decision in the blink of an eye. First, Chattanooga police explained their use of force policy. Then the volunteers were suited up in protective gear, armed, and led into the night to intervene in a scenario staged by instructors. Suddenly, a gun appears. Another split second and both suspects have guns aimed at the officers. What would you do?
I thought I was Clint Eastwood in the hallway, but when I got out there and they just turned, I just locked up.
The situation was scary enough with our camera light, but take a look at another confrontation the way they saw it, in the dark.
It's dark, the adrenaline gets to flowing, and the fella is bringing his hand out of his pocket. He wouldn't go down. And so at that moment, all I'm thinking is, if I don't shoot him, he'll shoot me. And we took him out.
The suspect was simply trying to pull a picture from his pocket.
And that's the newfound respect for those police officers that have to make that quick decision in that split second.
And that, say police, was the purpose of the exercise.
They know what basically we have to deal with out there, just a little bit.
Those guns they used in the exercise, they were real. The ammo was basically paint pellets, but they still hurt. Several pastors in that split-second decision, they did decide to pull the trigger, and in several scenarios, as you saw, the assailant was unarmed. It was truly an eye-opening night for everyone involved.
I love you.
Hugs and kisses were the order of the day as troops from the 1st of the 181st came home from Iraq.
Oh, baby! Oh, God! Oh.
The bus rolled in around 5:15, and these families, separated by war, were finally reunited. After 9 months working a POW camp in southern Iraq, these National Guardsmen had really logged the miles in the past few weeks to Kuwait, to Maine, to Mississippi, and finally as close as Smyrna, Tennessee for out-processing.
Smyrna wasn't too bad because we knew we were close to home.
That was kind of rough. There was many nights we wanted to just come on home and do it later, but yeah, that was the procedure. That's what we had to do.
But you know what? The guys up there, I mean, this is Memorial Day. They came in on a technically a federal holiday for them and worked it and got us out. And my hat is off to them.
Sergeant Renfro's son, Alex, has been counting the days since he was told Dad was on his way.
The very next day he woke up and he said, "Is he here?" And I said, "Well, no, it's going to take a couple days." And he kind of puzzled, and then he said, "Daddy needs a rocket."
Renfro and the rest of the soldiers worked like rockets unloading the bus. Within 20 minutes, they'd packed their own cars and headed home. What's the first thing you're going to do when you get home? What have you been looking forward to most?
We're going to go fishing.
Sleep. Catch up on some sleep.
Probably get something to eat and go home. And then jump in the yard and roll around in the grass.
For these men and their families, for now, the war is over.
Thank you. Welcome home.
A big night in Nashville for the mayor of Knoxville. Bill Haslam becomes the GOP candidate for governor of the state of Tennessee. After he went through a sea of supporters and chatted with them from the lectern, he stopped by to chat with the press about the 19 months he's just been through and the 3 months ahead. He also addressed some of the charges made in the final days of the campaign from some of his opponents. Here's what he said.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bill Haslam claims the GOP nod with authority, and before the push to November, he has to answer some last-minute charges made by opponents in his own party. Congressman Zach Wamp said with either Haslam or McWhorter in the governor's office, a state sales tax possibility would be back on the table.
100% definite, no way on an income tax, no time, no way. That's a promise, period.
Haslam supporters, and there were some from Chattanooga, say they hope most of the mudslinging is behind them.
That's part of the political landscape, if you will, these days, and it's unfortunate. And I hope that now that we are down to 2 candidates, I hope that they'll stick to the issues. I hope that they'll stop robocalling, and I hope that at the end of this, we're going to have a great governor.
What does Bill Haslam expect over the next 3 months? Will this part of the race be as tough as the last 19 months?
I think it's one good thing, quite frankly. I've been through a primary, and that's a big difference. We've been through a very competitive primary, and I think that you're tempered for battle, so to speak. And so I think that's a good thing, and I think it's an advantage I have.
And apparently there's no rest for the weary. At the end of his victory speech, Mayor Haslam said he was going to get to a staff meeting in the morning to plot his course for Monday and back on the campaign trail. 3 months until the general election. We'll follow it for you the whole way at Channel 3. For now, from Nashville, Greg Glover, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.